ex-wife actually she was a model in New York, and like she was really good friends with Kim Porter, who was Diddy's wife, the one who died at 47 from pneumonia. And I was like,
that's what they said.
When that happened, she called me, and this was a couple of years ago now, maybe not even, a couple of years ago, and she called me like, something's up with that. I go, what do you mean? She's like, oh, dude, Kim used to tell me like it was a bad, like there was a lot of weird shit that I didn't even know that like, but they were like, you know, they'd do photo shoots together or whatever. They were sort of friendly. Like they'd hang out. Like we'd see them out downtown, and like I'd hang out with her. Not so much with Diddy. I think it was already sort of over there, but like she was really afraid of him, and it
really,
yeah, like this goes back years. And
This story is Kim's story. Cassie book is Kim's book. Bruh, when y'all look at this thing and saying force, y'all think this that he probably threatened to beat her, threatened to do something like that. That ain't what force is. It could come from the mentality. Yo, he put her in a certain position, in a certain situation, in a certain time in her life. You understand what I'm saying? That she saw no way out other than doing what he told her to do. He had mentally controlled her. It's like a pimp.
Y'all, this story about how Diddy used intimidation to keep the women in his life just took a whole other turn, because according to word on the street, Kimora Lee has the last piece of evidence, an alleged call recording with Kim Porter. And if that's true, we might finally understand what went down 7 years ago when Kim Porter passed away all of a sudden. Now that more details about what Diddy was really doing is out in the open, Kim Porter's friends and family want the case reopened and the feds to include it as a part of their evidence against Diddy, just like they did with Cassie.
And Kim was the longest working employee because she was there from the very beginning. She was Andre's personal assistant. Kim is dead. Heavy D is dead. Andre Harrell is dead. The only two left are Puffy and Al almost died. Isn't that interesting?
When Kim passed, Kimora Lee was one of those who openly mourned her friend because the two of them were really tight, and she had always felt like there was more to her story than just her seriously falling ill due to pneumonia. In fact, when the news first broke that Kim Porter was no more, Kimora Lee was one of the first to rush to her phone just to confirm that it wasn't a sick joke, and it was obvious to see how much pain she was in. Soon after, she shared a lot of pictures and moments that marked her decades-long friendship with Kim, saying, "To my beautiful friend and sister, I love you. This is unbelievable. When I first heard the news, I was angry that someone would play such a stupid joke. They said you were in your room sleeping. Aoki and I rushed to your house to tell you to get up and come outside. But as soon as I arrived, I realized you would not come. Every room I walk into now, I think, okay, I'll just go and get Kim. But I see that I cannot. This is all too close and too sad." On the anniversary of Kim's death in 2022, she posted another touching tribute saying that she was always looking up to her and she was going to hold it down no matter what. And this is the type of friend you should have around, because from the looks of things, she really held it down for Kim, especially for Kim's twin daughters, Jessie and Delilah. Ever since she passed away, there have been a ton of issues surrounding the story about what ended Kim's life because it wasn't making any sense.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms.
In the days leading up to her death, her family revealed that Kim was trying to get in touch with her primary doctor, but for some weird reason, she was unable to do so. Kim reportedly found it strange that the doctor never got back to her and also didn't try to pick up her calls. She allegedly told Diddy about the whole thing, and he referred her to another doctor. But what makes things even weirder is that Kim's friends claimed to have reached out to that doctor and talked about why he wasn't returning her call. But he was surprised about what they said because he didn't know that Kim was ever sick. Based on what we know from a couple of her other celebrity friends, Kim had texted her the night before she died and said, "He got me," and went on to imply that she may have been poisoned. Another detail that wasn't adding up about the whole thing was that when Diddy arrived at Kim's home after she passed, he wasn't as distraught as you'd expect him to be after hearing that the woman who had been in his life for over 20 years and the mother of his children had died. Instead, he was more preoccupied with getting her phone and laptop and wouldn't rest until he had collected all of those items. Everyone had questions, especially Kimora Lee, since she was one of Kim's closest friends and had seen some stuff go down in her life, especially in her relationship with Diddy. Diddy's history of aggression and using his wealth and status to control those around him had always been whispered about in the industry, but it's just now that we are finally hearing all of the other details. In Cassie's testimony, she revealed how he would rough her up and then bribe the staff watching to make it seem as though there was nothing to see there. To make things even worse, Cassie's mom, who provided one of the most powerful testimonies for the prosecution, revealed that when Cassie decided to move away from Diddy, he reached out to their family and immediately demanded that they get $20,000 sent to him, or else he was going to put out a very private tape of Cassie that would ruin her life forever. It's not like Diddy needed the money or anything. It's just a move to see how far Cassie would jump if he told her to, and flex the control that he had over her. Diddy's former personal assistant, David James, who worked with him from 2007 to 2009, also testified to the level of Diddy's control and said that no one really spoke out because they were afraid of what he would do to them if they said something. And Diddy's treatment of Cassidy isn't much different from the way he treated Kim Porter.
Speaking of Kim Porter, because you knew Kim Porter, is it true that Diddy broke her nose?
Bust her nose, man. Anytime a man would go out his way to wiretap someone's phone or put taps in their homes just to monitor their conversation, that's a sign of insanity.
This is the same man who got another woman pregnant while Kim was pregnant with their twins. But that wasn't enough. And just like with Cassie, Diddy was largely in control of Kim's finances, and he would use that to keep tabs on her, including who she was dating, even though he was allowed to mess with whatever woman he wanted. Kim even told Essence magazine after they broke up that Diddy would call her 50, 60 times a day, she said. It was like my life was not my own. He was very, very intrusive. He always went the extra mile to verbally, emotionally, and physically put her down. One insider even recalled a specific incident between Diddy and Kim before the 2003 MTV Awards. "I remember how controlling he was over her. He refused to leave the show until Kim's hair looked exactly how he wanted it. He was fixated on one curl, saying, 'We're not leaving until this curl is right.' It was a small detail, but his control over her was clear." The person also shared an incident about how they got into a fight at an Atlanta nightclub. They got into a fight and he started hitting her with a bottle. She threw one back at him. I remember thinking, wow, she's standing up for herself. But Diddy turned to me and said, "We're just two people who love each other." It was alarming. Another time, there was a report that Diddy and Kim got into a huge fight after he threatened to get full custody of the twins. She threatened him that if he ever came in the way of her and her children, she was going straight out with what she knew about him. And baby, she knew a lot. Allegedly, Kim had hours of recordings with Diddy and Andre Harrell. Diddy with a very new and young Usher, and alleged evidence on what really happened with Biggie. So when she eventually decided that it was time to leave and finally move on with her life, word is that Puff wasn't willing to let her go just like that. She knew way too much about his life and could prove to be a liability in the future. Kim's friends, one of which could have been Kimora, also revealed that Kim allegedly was HIV positive, and if her real autopsy report had been revealed, it would raise a lot of questions about how she got it, which could have also brought Diddy back into the picture, and he didn't want that. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what the people out here is saying. So again, I echo, allegedly. Remember, even though pneumonia can be deadly, Kim was still very young and healthy, so it wouldn't have killed her unless her immune system was already very much compromised.
Basically.
Do you believe that she died of pneumonia?
Absolutely not.
Why? What evidence do you have?
She was in the best of health. We just saw each other prior to her passing. We were actually celebrating our son's new Netflix Christmas special, and she was doing just fine. In fact, we were all at the event together at Netflix in the lobby, Sean, myself, the children, you know, all having a great time. And I'm, you know, grabbing Sean like, what? And she's in the back going, stop, you know. So it was a really festive opportunity just for all of us to be together, because it's nothing like the circus that's out here. So it was a lot of the stuff, you know, came to surprise. But
with the feds really digging into Diddy's life to put pieces of his criminal enterprise together, Kim's family and friends are also hoping that some truth will finally come out about her death. Al B. Shore has revealed that he was recently subpoenaed to testify in a lawsuit, and that's something he's willing to do happily because he always believed that Kim's death wasn't ordinary, and it all ties back to Puff Daddy.
But one thing is, you have volunteered to testify at the trial, correct?
not as of yet. Actually, I was subpoenaed.
Okay.
So my attorneys worked something out. So I believe when the time is right, you know, I'm going to discuss it with my attorneys.
But you're willing to?
Oh, absolutely.
And as for Kimora, it's alleged that she holds information that could answer so many questions. However, due to Diddy's influence, she was too afraid to speak out. Now that his empire is crumbling, perhaps Kimora will finally find the courage to reveal a lot of missing pieces. All we can do right now is wait for the truth to come out, because a lot of people still believe that there really is something here to look into. The late Kim Porter's family needs to seek justice. Kid Cudi implying that Diddy was behind his car explosion says a lot. Authorities need to investigate Kim's death. They need to lock Diddy up for Kim Porter's death too. God rest Kim Porter's soul. I hate that she's not here to protect her girls, but I pray that her tribe wraps their arms around them and removes them from that environment immediately. But what do y'all think about all of this? Are we ever going to hear anything about Kim Porter and Diddy's trial? Share your thoughts in the comments and make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, baddies.